Hey everyone, Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Southeast Florida, and today I want to show you a couple pieces of equipment and what to look for when you are looking to get equipment for junk removal. So before junk removal, I was a professional mover, and as you may be able to guess, this equipment literally saves my life every single day when it comes to handling furniture, because if you don't use equipment, the next step is to carry everything, and that can be a real burden, and depending on who you're with, it may not even be the best situation. So if you like to be efficient, save energy, save time, be able to have two people work at the same time versus having two people stuck to one piece, then equipment is going to be your way to go. But with so many different options out there, just like vehicles, it can be hard to decide what's going to be the best fit for you. I'm going to share with you my opinion based on my experience with the different types of equipment and what I think would be best for junk removal for your standard person. So, starting off with the dollies, the most common piece of equipment that pretty much everyone in the right mind has, whether you do moving or not. You're always going to see these in a garage with something heavy underneath it. But there's two main different types of dollies. You have a rubber cap and you have an H style. Now, with these, they both serve the same function. You put something on top of it, you roll it out the door. However, there is a difference between something like this and the ones you get from Walmart and Home Depot that have the little 2.5-inch plastic wheels. When you are picking out a dolly, try to get the hard rubber wheels, preferably at least 3 inches. It makes a big difference with the size of the caster wheels. You want something that is a smooth transition and a smooth ride when you're rolling something. You get the little plastic wheels, you go over a little crack, you go over a threshold, everything stops in motion. Something like this, a little bit better traction, a little bit softer on the ground, it's going to go over those cracks with less of an issue. And overall, it usually has a stronger capacity. Now, something like this, the flat top comes in handy for multiple reasons. Number one, they're 3-inch wheels and it's only 1.5 inches throughout the whole board. So you're gonna have a little bit of a lower sitting if you're having to go through, let's say, a doorway, for example. Whereas if you got the rubber caps, you can see these sit up an extra inch, plus these are 4-inch wheels. So overall, you have 2 additional inches on this, and you might be thinking why that's important. First of all, these usually allow for mattress bars, which we'll talk about in a second. But being higher up in the air means that if you have, let's say, a dresser, for example, that maybe it has some stubby little feet on it, a little bit longer than standard, and for whatever reason you can't stand it up on its side or its top, having that extra height allows you to be able to slide this underneath it and still be able to push something without it hitting the ground, which could cause damage, of course. But with that being said, the higher extra height, if you're going through a doorway with the dresser standing up on the side, those extra couple of inches might cost you having to lower it down so you don't hit the top of the door frame. So 2 different versions, both have their purposes. As I mentioned, because this has a thicker little piece of wood here, it does allow for attachments such as mattress bars, aka upright dolly bars, which is what this is. A lot of you guys have seen me use these on my videos. I've been using these for years, learned about them from the moving company. Actually, a lot of moving companies don't even have these, which I find to be crazy. But essentially, these hook on to the dolly on both sides. Got the little hooks. And now you have a spot to slide mattresses on. You can slide long carpets, you can slide plywood pieces, drywall pieces, anything that can fit between here that will rest on both sides of the dolly, you can now move with control. If you've ever had to drag a king mattress through an apartment building like 300 feet, you know it's a pain in the ass. They're heavy, they're floppy, they're not the best with gripping. You slide it on here, you just wheel it. You just roll it down the hallway. It's easy, it makes things more controlled. So that's one plus. The next thing you have is the infamous hand truck. Everybody in the right mind knows what a hand truck is. But there are things you should keep in mind. Number one, aluminum versus steel, not really too big of an issue in my opinion, other than one's gonna be a little heavier than the other. However, I would personally opt out to get a handle similar to this. The reason being is, if you get the ones that have 2 little knobs that go out like this, I'll throw a picture on the screen. The problem with that is when you're going downstairs with a heavy piece, it's a lot harder to use a neutral grip like this than to have something you can cup your hand around. Imagine if you were to be hanging from a pull-up bar. Think about the grip when it comes to that. If you're gonna have to hold on to two knobs like this and hang from it, you need some hell of some grip and strength to hold on to that for a long period of time. Whereas if you have this, all you gotta do is wrap your hand around it and then you can just hang from it. You can also get something like this that just has this part. Sometimes it might be a little bit more squared off. The only problem with that, in my opinion, is that if you have a long enough piece resting against it, you don't really have any way to wrap your hand around it. If you do, that means that the piece is gonna be resting against your hand itself, and that may be a little uncomfortable. So at the end of the day, I would get a piece like this. You could do the one that comes out this way. That's fine, they're like handlebars, but I would opt that this one is gonna be the most controlled because you're in the middle point with it. It's not like you're grabbing it from the left or right, you're in the middle. In addition to that, you wanna get carefree wheels. Preferably, they have like those hard plastic, hard rubber ones that are kind of thin. Those are fine, but the bigger the wheels you can get, the easier it is going over weather strips, going over bumps, going up and down stairs. It makes it easier overall. In addition, the carefree ones, you don't have to worry about it going flat with inflation. So if you can, try to opt for that. Another thing to keep in mind, my hand truck doesn't have it. It's an attachment I could buy. I'll throw up a picture of what they are. A lot of Milwaukee hand trucks have them, and they're called stair climbers. It's basically a triangle attachment that'll hook onto the axle and then hook in somewhere up here, and it has like a silicone rubber coating on the edge. So when you're going up and down stairs, instead of just the wheel kind of going over each step, you have this back cushion to kind of help support it. So instead of going like this, now you're kind of going like this. It's a little bit smoother of a transition, especially if you have a heavy piece on it. So overall, that's what I would kind of recommend when it comes to your three basic pieces of equipment, which is a hand truck, a dolly, and then the specialty item would be the mattress bars, but I highly recommend it. And if for any reason you can't find mattress bars in your area, you're not able to find them online, there is an alternative you can do. It's not the most secure out there, but I have done it plenty of times myself. And that would be to simply set a dolly down and put the hand truck on top of it. So you're kind of mimicking mattress bars. So by setting this on here, it's gonna sit itself on place. The wheels are touched, they're not gonna be sliding back and forth unless you're aggressive with it. And as is, it's not the most stable. But if you took a mattress or a heavy box spring or a tabletop and you stuck it on top of here, well, now there's a lot of control. This isn't gonna move anywhere. It's not gonna go side to side. You just need some pressure to push it down. But this is gonna help mimic like half of a mattress bar. And if it was maybe a tabletop that's a little bit, you know, maybe it might slide out, you can always ratchet strap it to this. But overall, this will kind of help you guys in those tight binds if you ever need to do that, especially if you're by yourself. These mattress bars are golden opportunities for that. But if you need to, this could be a second alternative. It's just not as secure. And at the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to do all the same things you would be with the mattress bars. But something to keep in mind. And then of course, if you are gonna be bringing a lot of heavy stuff up and downstairs and maybe you're by yourself, or even if you have somebody with you, don't be afraid to get a ratchet strap and run it around whatever piece it is and attach it to the hand truck. Treat it like an appliance dolly. If you've never used an appliance dolly, if you go to lift a refrigerator with a regular hand truck and you lift it with the appliance dolly, it is a world of a difference. The main reason being is that it hugs the piece to the hand truck and you have better control with it. So now, instead of having to hold on to the piece, grab the dolly and pull both of them back, I'm only using half my strength here. If I have it strapped to the hand truck, I don't have to worry about it going side to side, leaning forward, falling off. I can put all of my strength into this and pull it back. And that's what you're doing with the ratchet strap. So if you're going downstairs, for example, with let's say a sleeper sofa or refrigerator, or just a really heavy dresser in general, and you're afraid of it tipping forward or tipping side to side, you run a ratchet strap around it. Now as you're going down, you can put all of your focus into this. You can either grab both hands here, one hand here, whatever, but you can use a full leverage when you're going down. So when it comes to moving and junk removal, at the end of the day, you only really need a few pieces. Junk removal, you're gonna be doing a little bit more with trash and debris than you would in moving, of course. So you do want something to contain items like a trash can or a Speed Pak or a U-line cart, something to put stuff in, wheelbarrow, whatever, the list goes on. But when it comes to just moving general household items, office furniture, stuff in the backyard, this is where these things come in handy. And there's plenty of things out there you can use in addition to this, but I would argue that the hand truck and the dolly are your primary pieces. The mattress bars, though they're a specialty and a little bit harder to find, I would put in my top 3. Like at the end of the day, with these pieces of equipment here, I can do 95% of my jobs. And the other 5% would be if I'm going to do like a debris job or I'm going to bag up stuff. I would either need something to contain the small items or trash bags. But this is really all you need. And if you're in the market for it, pay attention to those few things I talked about. Caster wheels are the most important part of a dolly. It is going to make or break how much smoother it is bringing something out. A hand truck, the carefree tires, and the handle rounding out like this. Those are 2 huge things you need to focus on. Other than that, everything is open game. Feel free to be creative with how you do stuff. And at the end of the day, safety is the most important thing, not only for yourself, but the protection of the property that you are working in. Junk removal is junk, it's trash, nobody cares, but it doesn't mean you want to be reckless and damage the property around you. So at the end of the day, being efficient really answers all of your problems, especially if you're working on your own or if you have employees. The faster you get a job done, the more profit you get. So the faster they can get a job done safely, because I could take a dresser and my other person could take a dresser at the same time. 2 dressers versus both of us carrying one, wearing ourselves out, risk of injury, workers' comp, insurance claims. It's a safer, more efficient route. That's what I would say. So hopefully that gives you guys some ideas, and I will see you next time. If you have any questions, comment down below. Bye.